Hi, everyone. Again, I get to intro Writers Chat because my co-hosts, Jean Wise and Johnny Alexander, aren't here today. So it's always strange to be the opener for this because Jean does such a good job. And today we're doing something a little different on Writers Chat. So you'll see some familiar faces if you've been on Writers Chat with us before. So we have Michelle Medlock Adams, who is my best friend and co-writer, co-author, and business partner. I'm Bethany Jett, I should have said that. And then we also have Dory Oda and Josephine Massaro here, and Amanda Flinn will hopefully be popping in with us. And so I just want to let Michelle and I will do like a brief intro, and then we'll jump right in because today we are doing mini like flash strategy sessions, which is something that we do with our business Platinum Literary Services. So Michelle, like, do you want to share kind of like what that is and how that got started, and then we're going to dive right in and do this.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So like, you know, when you go to writers conferences and you get those 15-minute appointments with editors and publishers and other writers, professionals, and oftentimes you talk about marketing, like what can I do to make my book sell more? How do I build my platform? If my book's been out a year, can I still try to market it? If it's coming out not for 4 or 5 months, is it too early to start marketing? Beth and I get a lot of those questions when we're at writers conferences. And so based on that, we started these platinum, well, we kind of called them, I don't know what was our first name, we called them Platinum Pro Strategies, I think. And we just did it just to see if anybody, we filled up. Like we just did a couple sample ones and then we filled up and we're like, oh my gosh, people like this. And we love it because I always feel like at the end of the 15 minutes, it's never enough. Like I want to go back with the person and follow them to their room because I'm like, and I thought of something else, but like the next person's in my chair. So I guess we're going to kind of do that today in just 15 minutes. But it's just stuff that both of us have learned. And what makes it great about Bethany and myself is that I'm old school. I'm like the big sister. I've been in this business a long time, longer than I'd like to admit. So I know a lot of the old school ways to do PR and marketing. And Bethany is like, I always say it's from that movie Men in Black, where they say old and busted, new hotness. I always joke, I'm like, Bethany's the new hotness. She's bringing it. So she's getting her marketing degree in PR, and she's learning so much about campaigns and things. So it's like a great marriage. We bring everything together, both of us knowing the industry and knowing it from different sides, and me being older and her being the new hotness. Like we bring it all. So we're so excited to get in there. Like this, so many of these have been successful for us with different people like Cass and different. I mean, just we just had amazing results from these. So we get as excited as you do when you guys succeed.
Yes. So we're going to be paying attention to the chat questions and things there. And then there was so much we wanted to say for all of you, for Dory, Joe, and Amanda. So we're going to try to condense as much as possible, but feel free to ask questions. So Michelle, do you want me to just dive in? Like I had that little bullet point. Okay. And then you just break in like whenever.
Like we always do when we teach. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So since Amanda's not here yet, maybe we can go 20 minutes per. So like if someone wants to give like a 15-minute warning, we have 5 minutes left to round it out in the chat. That would be great. All right. So Dory, so the project, so everyone, for those of you watching, so people, they send in these questionnaires to us. And this is what we have our clients do because it lets us do a lot of prep work ahead of time. So we kind of can focus on what's really going to be the win here. And so the project, Dory, that you mentioned a couple of things, was the Souls Knit Together ministry activities on a shoestring budget. Do you want to just like real quick explain like what that is so everyone who's watching kind of is on the same page with us? And then that was kind of the one I wanted to focus on because I thought it was such a great idea.
Yes, I went online for I spent an hour looking to see if there's anything like this online, and not to say there's not, but I didn't find anything like it. But it started with the fact that I'm writing a retreat for our women's ministry at our church for this coming November. And my cousin is a pastor's wife. She read the retreat material and she said, Dory, put this in a book. I would buy this book. So from there, I started thinking, what if we did a whole year's worth of women's ministry on a shoestring in one book, and we could renew that, do a new volume each year or whatever, that would contain a retreat, probably a Bible study, probably several devotionals, and several like quarterly activities for the women's group. So it would have all of that. So a pastor's wife or a small church could just take this volume of this book and they could just open it up and say, here's what I can do for the whole year. So
I thought that was a great idea because I was the president of our women's ministry for 2 years, and every month you have to do something new. You need a new speaker, a new devotion, an activity, and you're kind of coming up with it on the fly because there's no format unless the person ahead of you like passed it down. You're just kind of doing like the same old stuff. So in my brainstorming on this, I just had like, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9 maybe bullet points for email list PDFs that you could create that would also tie along with blog posts. And I think my strategy with this would be to give a lot of it away for free, kind of how we talk about like giving content away for free, because it can still go into a book form, even if that content is like repurposed in other ways, as long as it's not the exact same thing, and start getting testers and feelers and feedback on the different activities from the women, because I think it's going to be a lot of word of mouth that will really build platform for this, that would excite an agent, because it is so niche for women's ministries and churches. I think if you build a platform wide, that would be really strong. So like I can go through all those email lists. Michelle, did you have anything at right now, or maybe just dive in?
You go, and then I'll give my old school take on this.
Okay. Okay, so here were some of the ideas. I would start an email campaign. So this is going to be kind of like a hodgepodge of ideas. Give away a different activity every month. So pick 12 activities, because there's more than 12 that they could do. So maybe pick some of your favorites. And so when people subscribe to your email list in your funnel, once a month, they know they're going to get an activity or a format or something for the next month if they want to use it or give it to their ladies ministry at church, because they could also use it for other organization kind of things as well. So basically it's just a freebie that they're going to get, but I think you could build an email list pretty strong from that. It's also going to work really well on Pinterest, and you can do a blog post every month as well that kind of like gives a little bit more feedback or details on how to use the PDF that will get them excited to jump in and download and start getting all 12. Because once you have that 12 email sequence set up, you don't have to touch it again. You can just start promoting it at different points and let it funnel through on its own. And I was thinking this is similar to like Death to the Stock Photo, for example. They have a photo subscription service, and they give away 10 free photos a month. So if you build your library of activities or things, you could even have an area for members only on your website where people can pay to have access to even more things. And so while you're giving away a little bit of it for free as you're building, the members could have like the full-blown details for the women's stuff. So trying to think of it in the same way of like a photo sharing service, thinking of those resources in that way might be something. And then follow up, use the email list to get feedback from the activities. How did they change the activity to match, like to meet their women? Because that's stuff that can go in the book. Like you can have like, here's your ideas and here's some extra ideas from other churches. That gives those churches a chance to like get involved and back the project and support it, like endorse it, or even have the women feature it on their social media as they're using it, which just builds platform your way too. And then some ideas. I have a lot of 5s for blog posts or email lists like PDFs. You could do 5 things your women's ministry needs right now, and just a little thing. And you could even do Amazon links in there if you want to do affiliate, buyback if they click through to get the product or the book or whatever it is. You can have a little bit of passive income that way. Another one was 5 mistakes your women's ministry is making. That title is like it's not clickbait because you're actually giving value, but people will always click if they think they're doing something wrong, either to make them feel better that they're not doing these things, or they want to know so that they can do it right. Fundraising ideas is always a good thing for women's ministry. And then you can build a story with this by asking women to share fundraising that they've done either for schools or PTA or their church ministry. And that could also be a collection of things that you could give away. How to plan a women's retreat on a shoestring budget, which is your book title. I think you should have a blog post with that, maybe a series. I like the word shoestring. Actually, I think that would be a good keyword for you. 5 easy ways to run a monthly women's meeting. That would be helpful. And then have like recipes and things, Pinterest, Instagram, if they're doing a ladies' tea or if they're doing dinner at their monthly meetings, like here's all the things you're going to need to make this super easy in your kitchen, or do a potluck, like all those kinds of tips, all the ancillary things that go on with women's ministry. All those resources will build you as this brand then. And I think all of that will will be able to like move you into a space to be able to get a book on this.
Let me jump in there because I think that is amazing, and I think it's a great idea. How many of you watch Hallmark? I guess I can't see anybody but you guys. Do you guys watch Hallmark? I'm like a Hallmark crazy movie buff. Like I'll watch the Christmas ones year round, not even sorry about it. Like I love them. And there was one last year, and it may not be last year's, but I watched it again last year. It's got Lacey, whatever her name is, the one that played Girls. Or you know what I'm talking about? Lacey.
Yeah. Chabot or something like that.
That's the one. She's a Christian, actually. So she's the main character in it. And she comes up with this idea. She's an advertising lady. She comes up with an idea called Christmas in a Box. Do you remember that one?
Yep.
It's basically Christmas, everything for Christmas in one box, and how you can keep that Christmas spirit all year long. And I thought this could be like ministry in a box. Women's ministry in a box. Everything that you need to have your women's ministry just be amazing throughout the year, whether it's like Betty said, whether it's a ladies' tea, a women's event, usually there's 1 or 2 retreats a year, whatever it is, I would just make that be one big thing. And you could do giveaways, like you could put together, all this is going to sell your book and all the things that go with it. You're talking about a devotional and all the spin-offs that go with it. It's ministry in a box, women's ministry in a box. And what I would do with that is I would take it, and you could tie it up with a shoestring. Like I thought it'd be cute to have the visual of it in a box tied up with a shoestring, because that's in your title. It's be super cute. And they have like really cute, like sparkly shoestrings. I've seen them. Actually, I bought them for one of my granddaughters. They're adorable. So I would get those and just make it really fun and girly. And then I thought about, in the same way we're doing blog posts and those sorts of things, all this information, like Bethany and I are doing right now for our Platinum Faith book that debuts next week, we're taking all the content that's already been researched, not all the way into the book because there was so much. And so we've already done the work. We're taking that work and making articles out of it and blog posts and things to keep the buzz going about our book once it comes out, October 1. You can do the same thing. Some of the titles she gave you, I was thinking also 7 tips to guarantee a great retreat. Like as someone who's not only spoken at a million retreats, but been a part of a planning committee, there are certain things that you have to know going in. Not everybody's gonna like it, not every idea is a good idea, but open to change. The killer for any retreats, well, we've never done it that way. Well, then maybe we should. Like I always hate that. So I think those are some, maybe those things. And then I always like the numbers. 5 things I wish I'd known when I became women's ministry director. And there are magazines in the Christian Writers Market Guide that are for leadership and ministry. They're only publications just for them, like Enrichment, Facts and Trends, Holiness Today, Just Between Us, Message of the Open Bible, Ministry. There's one just called Ministry. There's one called Ministry Today. I mean, all these would have sections for women's ministry. Of course, you can also do women's magazines like Joyful Woman. Those kinds of those. There's a whole list of those as well. Just women's magazines. I would also, besides pitching magazine articles based on this ministry in a box, I would think is really fun. I would also interview people like Marnie Swedberg, if I said her last name right, who's over womenspeakers.com. Yes. And if you're not on that, you need to get on that. She's had Bethany and I on her show. I was on her show last week or so, and you cannot imagine the amount of followers I got from that. My numbers went up just because so many people follow her. All ministry directors who are, and also women's ministry speakers are part of that network. She's got this huge email list. So if you interview her for an article like this, she's going to share it with her list. That is just like instant sales for you. Plus, it's great to make a friend of Marnie because she's so cool and she knows everyone. So it'd be really great to kind of do that cross marketing. You might see if you could be a featured speaker or an interview on her. Once you sign up with them, she features some of her speakers once a month on her radio show, which is what I did. And then some outlets for your articles besides the ones that the print and the online is cbn.com and One Christian Voice. They don't pay, but what they pay in is exposure. And they're both hungry for content. So Beth Patch is your person at cbn.com. And then at One Christian Voice is Rhonda Krill, Krill. And any of the titles that I said or that Bethany said would work for that. I've taken old magazine articles and just reworked them for Rhonda, just updated them with new statistics and things. I mean, like I thought something that might be interesting, and Bethany, you jump in here, was the last few events that I've been a part of for women's ministry. I was pleasantly surprised to see young people coming back to it. For a long time, it was the gray-haired crowd. It was like all the women that had the white hair, and nothing wrong with that. It's just that because of that had that stigma, none of the millennials and younger were coming. They're like, oh, that's not like our moms and our grandmoms. But they're doing it's kind of like a new push to get the younger girls in. And maybe that would be an article about, ways to minister to all the generations. I'm doing a conference next month at my son-in-law's church, And it's actually, the theme is generations. Got me thinking about it. That, you know, we don't just have to minister to one group, but how do we minister to the entire body of women? We don't need to break it up. Once in a while, we all need to come together. The Bible speaks about the older woman training the younger woman. Like, we need to embrace that without being judgmental. So that might be a really great ministry piece in a women's magazine about how do we do that. All these things, there's probably a million ideas running through your head because you're in this, are going to point back, because at the bottom it'll say written by you, and then I'll have a link to purchase your book or your ministry in a box, however you want to do it. And I would do fun giveaways and all the things that Bethany said, because all those PDFs and those things that the PDF downloads are the ones that I always print out and put on my fridge. That's how I think about, is this a good one? Would I print this out? You know, scriptures to stand on it in the planning process. These are 5 scriptures I stood on in the planning process. Maybe an article about how to get some prayer warriors in your corner as you're planning next year's event. Because if you're planning something that's going to be dynamic, there's going to be some spiritual warfare going on. So there's just so many. I got so excited about this because there's so many ways that you can promote this, and women will love it.
I agree. So like when you were saying that about ministry in a box, I kind of like the in a box thing, because you could do ministry in a box, retreat in a box, conference in a box, and then that could kind of be like your little logo if you wanted it to be for all this, with the little string on top. And then when you go to these, like if you go speak at these places, or you're even leading something, teaching other women how to do this, you could have the little boxes like at their table for gifts, or, I mean, there's so much you could do with the box, and they're so inexpensive. You could even, if you wanted to, you could start a subscription service where with physical products that you could get donated
Yes.
with Etsy, because then every quarter the church could purchase it if they wanted to, and it would be the quarter stuff in a box. Like they would just
like the FabFitFun thing.
Yes,
yes. There's so many of those now, and people love that. And there's not. I've seen the Christian ones. They're with like cute little cross T-shirts and things, but this is specifically ministry heavy, like for women's ministry directors. I love that idea, and the bigger churches would totally go for that. Like that might be a great place to start. I mean, and you could do seasonal ones. You know, you could do.
That's what I was thinking. Like every box could be decorated for whatever it is, and you could go like slow at first if you wanted to move into that. And then I think really as a brand, your really overarching theme is organization, planning, time management, and checklists. And so the women's ministry is the heart project. I know it's not your super heart project, but like the women's ministry might be where we focus. But you can take all the things that you're creating for them, and then you can do it for businesses, you can do it for schools, you can do it for PTA, you can do it for nonprofit organizations. So underneath that umbrella, you start branching out now into all these different places, because you're known for the skill, which is I can help you run your meetings and things successfully.
Okay, like bridal showers in a box.
Yes.
You know, women's I've done a bunch of baby showers lately because my daughters are having kids. All that stuff. I mean, you can't imagine how much time we spent on Pinterest and different things looking for themes. Like for Bear's last birthday, to the moon and back. I mean, we lived on Pinterest. And so those are the kind of things that, like she said, you can branch out from the Christian element and then take that whole brand and just do it for everything. Like that would be, people would love that. People, especially busy moms and who don't have time to plan an amazing party, and they can't afford maybe to get a party planner. You could provide all that for them right there in this box. Checklist, things to look for, do-it-yourself stuff, like how to make a cool, like we made this neat spaceship thing for Bear's thing. I say I supervised. I did none of that. I just did the cute decorations on the tables because that's my deal. That was a do-it-yourself thing that they did. I mean, those ideas would be golden. Oh my gosh, and Pinterest would be your very best friend.
VBS. I know, Pinterest would be great. And
VBS.
so many resources. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm real excited about that.
Yeah. Well, the Christmas in a box was a hit on Hallmark, so why not? You know? Yeah.
And some of it you could bundle together into a PDF, and I wouldn't put an ISBN number on it, because as you're growing this and then you're wanting to maybe get a publisher to pick it up to go ahead and distribute, you're not going to want any sales to like hinder that. So I would put bundles together, like even small price points just for purchase as you're testing and getting started, but I wouldn't put an ISBN number on it. But it could still be like, you know, the little ebook for how to do a women's thing that people can download, or you give away for free, or they could buy it for like $2.99 or something off your website, just to start, like, I don't know, and getting some income coming in from some of these things. But I think this could go really big for you, though, is what I'm saying.
I like Catherine's. She said, we're supposed to be living outside the box, smiley face, ministry in a box that challenges you to live outside the box. That's cute. What a cute tagline. Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah, and so Catherine also put in here a plugin, Easy Digital Downloads, which I think she said it helps you track the downloads, but like you could have your website really, before you start getting into anything physical products, because that can be a lot, all of this can be digital. So there's one lady, it's Boho Berry, I think, and she has an oh no, we lost Dory. She has a digital planner kind of thing, and so you can buy the download that she has to put it onto your computer, and you pay for that, but then every month you get something for free from her, like a new template or sticker or something. And then she also has resources tucked in there as well, so like you can pay like a one-time fee or whatever, and you have a year's worth of access. So that's the kind of stuff that we could do too. So I wanted to get that on the recording. I know we lost her, but that way we've got it. So
I hope she comes back, but I think that this has such potential, and I see that this whole thing in a box is resonating with everybody in the chat. So I think that might really work. And also with the giveaways and things, like I know as the women's ministry, like you said the same thing, when you help plan those, there's so many moving parts. You have to have the workshop speakers and the main speakers and all those things, just like those checklists are going to be the things I would print off and put on my fridge or put in my planner, you know, and you could say, if you're a happy planner person, here's a 3-hole punch one for you right here. You're going to want to put this in your planner. Things, because you know, like when you're planning for a wedding, you've got 6 months out, do this, reserve the time, reserve this. It could be like a year out, how to plan the greatest women's event ever. 6 months out, 4 months out, 3 months out, 2 weeks out. I think that would be something that would be very beneficial. It would make me less stressful if I was in charge of it. And you could do the same thing for everything you're putting in the box. Every bridal thing, everything you're doing would work with that kind of a checklist.
I can see you wanting my church to subscribe to something like that, because I know I'd have, like, even for the previous quarter, okay, we got 3 months worth of stuff in here to do, and we can start promoting, and it can also have all that stuff in there too.
All right, think about it. You were youth pastors. It would work for the youth
ministry, everything.
Yeah, the whole thing.
You can even go down into that. So Dory, we kept giving some information on here too, even though we lost you, so we'd make sure we captured it on the recording. But we really like this.
Okay, so one question. Will any of the things that we talked about impede me being able to sell this product later if I put stuff out like teasers and content?
No.
Okay.
No, and think about the emails you're going to be gathering. Like that's going to be nothing but up your platform number so that it'll be easier to secure the publisher that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so keep writing the book and keep building an email list, and then when the book is ready to go, present to a publisher or present the idea beforehand so they can kind of work with me.
I would focus on getting a ton of articles, blog posts, and like resources. That's where I would focus before I'm finishing the book, because it takes so much time for like the agent process and then for a publishing process. So I would start doing a lot of this groundwork now, like publish on medium.com, like Michelle gave some places to. So I would start building a publication credit and start building the email list as my first focus. And then once you've kind of got your rhythm with that, I would get the proposal ready, because it's nonfiction, the book doesn't have to be done. And I think that what you're going to learn in this marketing process of building the emails and building relationships, which you already have a ton of them, I'm sure, that as with the resources, I think that's going to influence the way you write the book. Like Michelle and I changed, I don't know, like half of our mom book once we started doing this. And we already under contract for it. That was hard, but there's a advantage here because you have a little bit more time to get the chapter breakdowns the way you want them after watching what's happening with the creation of this. It'll help the book.
And you can put all that in the proposal, you know, this ministry in a box or women's retreat in a box. You can put all that, and then all the ideas for this to be a series. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to look at, you're going to have sample chapters. They're going to look at if you can write. They're going to look, okay, she's a good writer. You're going to look and see what your platform numbers are. And even if they're not as high as somebody else's, if you got this great idea about something in a box, you know, this is a really successful series, they might take a chance even if your platform numbers aren't as high as somebody else they were considering, simply because this is such a great idea with all these spin-offs. They don't want a one-hit wonder. They want somebody they're going to be able to work with for a long time. And that's what you're providing them. You're saying, hey, I've got this idea. Here's how I'm going to market it. Here's how we can partner together in this. You know, you want them to catch the vision, just like we all are here in this room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make one last comment, and then we'll we got the thank you, Melissa, for keeping us on time track.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you that we've had editors sit down. We've sat down with editors from some pretty big houses. Michelle and I had dinner with this one lady for we closed the restaurant down. We had so much fun with her. But she was literally asking, like, who do you know that's already doing something and has built this platform? And that's who a lot of publishers are looking for, people who are already doing it. And so I think you're already doing it. I say go bigger with it. And then you really have something like super big to present to. It gets them more excited because it's not I'm going to, it's I am and I have. And those are
they may come to you. I mean, if it becomes a thing, they'll be like, does she have a book out? Why not? And they may come to you. Why not? That's the ideal situation, and that can happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it, Dory.
Yay. Yay, Dory.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Never know if you have a good idea or not until you bounce it off someone else sometimes. And so.
I never know who I am. My sister and I talk about it all the time. Like, I don't know my brand. It's hard to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. Switching gears. I love when we do this for an hour.
I know.
So deep. Okay. So, Joe.
Yes.
Super excited. Gotta grab your paper. Okay. Joe Massaro. Okay, so you also had a few ideas in here. The one that I got really excited about was Winston.
Yes.
A British Bulldog. So that everyone's on the same page with us, do you want to share a little bit about Winston, the British Bulldog?
Okay, Winston is my British Bulldog that I've just recently added this in. He has a friend who that is Bobby. And they are basically out camping with their family, and they go into a cave, and that is where they find a magical book. And my bulldog, Winston, actually has a magical collar. And so when he puts his hand on the book opens up, and they actually go back in time to meet different people. And the very first one that I had come up with was Lewis Braille. And he obviously was blind as a child by an accident. And when they go back in time, they get to be part of the story that I've created. And when they come back in time, he gets a stamp on his collar. So it's like a passport stamp. And I'm actually working on one for the Winter Olympics in 2022. And I'm just trying to figure out who it is that he would go back in time for. So I have this as in my mind as a series, and I'm doing some research now on other children's books, but I really love him. He has become like my favorite, character. And I just really believe that, and Bobby is more, trustworthy, and Winston is not. So there's this relationship going on between the two of them. So that's kind of what it is in a nutshell.
So I'm really glad Michelle was here today because she's the children's queen. So Michelle, you jump in whenever. I had a couple of things about some products that could spin off of this because of your idea, and a couple opt-in offers. But what I think Michelle and I both love so much is the nonfiction elements you've got going on in here, because children's nonfiction is so big right now, and you could do layered texting with this and all the things about content-wise. I'll just share the comments that I have, and then I'll pass it to Michelle. But as part of your marketing strategy and campaign building up to this, I think you want to pull in the community around the character they're going back in time to see. And so I would start interviewing and connecting with Institutes for the Blind. I was a ghostwriter for Lacey Buchanan, and Christian is almost 100% blind. So just getting to talk with her, I've learned things about how he learned to walk, how he can play the piano like no one else, even at a young age, because his senses are heightened. So starting to do articles and meeting with people who are within that expertise is really going to build you up when it comes time for endorsement or how they're going to promote your book, because they're going to be behind it because you're championing this. And so that's one thing I would start doing, and maybe start doing some little articles. Maybe it's for kids and for parents, but on what do you do when you meet a friend who can't see? How can you be a good friend? And what are some things to say or not to say, or how do you explain to your children, you know, what this is like, or some maybe activities, downloads, because you're targeting moms, like maybe some activities where they can like be blindfolded and have to taste test, or can they hear different sounds, can they get around the room, or just different games and things that would go along with learn like the neurodiversity and all the different diversities that are happening right now, like Scholastic especially, they have all these different kinds. And so really just having another like way for kids to be very inclusive. Like I think that would be a super smart strategy to go for, like, for articles and blog posts and things, and then to get endorsements. So that was like my first thoughts. But Michelle.
Well, here's two things. I love children's writing and I love animals. So like it was a win for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, and I love bulldogs. And I'm not the only one that loves bulldogs. The first thing I did when I saw this is I looked up the American Kennel AKC to see where bulldogs were ranked. They're in general, like in the past 5 years, they were 5 last year in the top 10, 4 in 2016, 4 in 2015, 4 in 2014. I mean, they're always like 3, 4, or 5. Like they're always in the top 10. If you do any kind of Instagram, like just search for bulldogs, so many accounts come up. There are all kinds of famous bulldogs. They have their own accounts, and people love them. Dachshunds are also like that. I have a dachshund, but like bulldogs are huge, and people who own bulldogs are very passionate about that, as you know. So not only are you going to get people who love children's literature, but you're going to get people who love bulldogs because there's not too many books where bulldogs are the main character. So that's a really great thing for you. So I would play on that. I would play on the fact that Winston is a bulldog. If Winston is a rescued bulldog, that's even better.
That's a great idea.
Is he?
Yeah, no, but he will be.
Okay, there you go. And so that's the thing. The great thing about that is then you can also then partner with the Humane Society on some events, those kinds of things, bringing awareness to how adoption of animals is so important. Rather than just going to puppy mill, it's really great because so many times pure breeds are actually I was on the board for a bit here at our local one. I travel too much now, they kicked me off. I'm still a big supporter, they still love me, I just couldn't go to all the meetings. But the thing about it is, we often at times will find the pure breeds there, and there are organizations that for each breed that will actually contact us, and they'll adopt them out. Like they don't want, I don't know, the Mets don't always get that, but the other ones do. So you highlight that you could do some articles for some nonfiction articles for magazines that deal with just dog breeds. There's a bunch of them. I was just in Rural King the other day, actually yesterday, getting birdseed for the birds that I feed. And I took a picture of one the other day for Bethany that had her cute little pom on the front, like it looked just like her Pomeranian, but they have them for every breed. I would definitely reach out to one that's just specifically about bulldogs and just let them know that you've got this great children's book series coming out where Winston is a bulldog, and and in the back, since this is going to be an educational thing, which I love, nonfiction is so huge for kids. It has been, it's not a trend, it's a thing. It's going to continue. Homeschool groups will love this. So I would put things in the back, and you might even do a study guide to go with this year.
Right. I was planning on that.
That is so smart. Like, in fact, I wasn't a teacher. I didn't go to, I thought about that actually, but I was a journalist. But my daughter, Abby, was early childhood education. And so I had her help me do some study guide things. And then I hired a lady, if you need the name, I'll get it for you, out in Texas, who is a part of my nonfiction ninja group. She does study guides for lots of bigger name authors than I even know, like lots of people. And she only charged $200 to do a study guide based on dinosaur devotions, because I kind of hit a wall. I could do it for the younger kids, but I didn't know how to do it for the older. Amazing. Best $200 I've ever spent. So now I can market that even more so with homeschool groups and with teachers at Christian schools. So this is a secular book. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily Christian, but Bethany's thing was a great idea too, to have nonfiction spin-off articles. And I mean, I've probably shown this a million times when we've been on here, but this is the magazine markets edition. This magazine market, this is 2018. There's a 2019 out there, and I can't find mine in my office, but this is one of them. And it's an entire book full of magazines for kids. And so, but for every book, you're gonna have different themes like that. This one will be, you said blindness, and that might be that theme that you pull out of that one, and his story. Right? So you can have an article about that in one of these magazines. There's lots of magazines for those with disabilities and things that you could put in there. I also think the cool thing about this book is because it's literally, you can't imagine, and anything you want to write about, it's in here. There's travel. There's even something on time travel. And Jan Martin will be a good one to also speak to about this, because she has a children's series about kids that go, brother and sister, I believe, that go back in time to Bible stories. And so, when you're doing your comp titles, hers could be some, the Magic Tree House, all those are going to.
Yeah, I was just looking at Magic Tree House. Yeah, I've got a bunch of their books, reviewing them. I forgot to tell you one important part, because Bobby is based upon my brother who has autism, who is living with us.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would include that. I think that would be an interesting aspect, because the dog could have some of those characteristics, and you could even have an article about that. I mean, there are just so many, and there's also ministry ones in here, devotionals in this, like Diva Zine for Girls Like Us, Keys for Kids, Pockets, Primary Treasures, 5+ Total Girl, all of those. So anytime that you're going to have any kind of a spiritual aspect, or something that's just not necessarily has scripture, but is just some good morals, that would be, those are some places. That's not just in the Christian Writer's Market Guide, but it's also in this one.
Okay.
But as you're writing each of this in this series, be thinking of themes that you can pull out for articles, and be thinking of things you can pull out that can make worksheets for homeschool parents and those kinds of things. When you get this series out, you're going to want to go to some homeschool, those big conferences that they have.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to be there, have a table, maybe share a table with somebody, see if you can be a speaker there. It does cost money to be a part of those. I researched this this past year. They're all like from spring to like July, like they're like May. I think most of them are May to July, but it's really after July. There's not any more this year. But you might try to hit a couple of the big ones once your books come out, and then sell them as a series. Oh, like Brian Davis did that with his dragon books, and he sells so many doing that. So the kids like series, parents love series, homeschool parents love series, especially ones that's going to be educational. They're going to want to read about dogs. Most kids like dogs. They're going to read about this, and then they're going to learn things in each book. I love that idea.
And also, I didn't say this, but in the Braille book, I saw that in one of the books that I was researching, they had the Braille system A through Z, but they weren't raised. And so there's no way that you can actually get the feel for what it is to use Braille. So I wanted to include that in the back, but actually you could close your eyes and actually feel how it is to go through each letter.
That's awesome. See, I put that in your proposal. Like that is a cool thing to put that in there.
I forgot one thing. I just found out that Legos is doing one in Braille that's coming out.
That's good, because that means that the industry is accepting like these kinds of books. So we always get excited when another brand or company is doing a competing title, because that can go straight into your proposal. Like, this is the time for this book because there's other books coming out about it right now too, and here's how mine can sit with them on the shelf. Like, we get excited, not discouraged by that.
That's exactly right. And I would put that in the proposal, even that it's timely. It's happening now. This is very much inclusion, and all that is very much happening now. Thank the Lord. This is not just something that's popular. This is happening in the schools and in life and society. So I would put that in there, that ironically, as you were coming to this idea, you found out that Legos is putting this out. Josh said that this is helpful to him too, because one of his characters is focused on a rescue dog. Well, if you look in right now, just on like top movies and books, there's a couple that are about dogs. The Long Way Home. There's several. I can't think of all the titles. They're all tearjerkers, but there's been a lot of dogs featured in movies, not just kids movies, but adult movies, adult movies, but movies.
Yeah.
I don't know about I'm not watching the adult movies, but yeah. So anytime you have animals in anything, it's a good thing. I would even suggest maybe giving a portion of the royalties to maybe a shelter, or the national or your local shelter. That gets good play. I did that with my this little book, The Little Angel Gets a Big Job with Elk Lake. I gave all my my royalties to our local Humane Society, because I was on the board there, and they gave me a huge front page story in the Bloomington Herald Times because of that. That's not why I did it, because I love the animals. They needed new cages, but so that just those kinds of things will help you get good press for it, and plus it's just a good thing to do.
Okay, I just have off topic. I just have one other thing I wanted to show, if that's okay. Okay, this is what I've been working on. I don't know if you can see it. My Book Lover's Companion. It is in a binder like this, and it is basically a bunch of information that you fill out on a book, and it's on the other side. But it is also has dividers in it. It is for books I want to read, books I loan out, books I borrowed, book signing events where you can actually put pictures in. But this is my question, and a whole bunch of other things. This is my question. I was thinking about including this. Putting out something like, think about your favorite book. Think about the era that it's being, it's written, and come up with find some recipes that would be used during that time frame. And then be able to include those in the back of the book. And then every time so you're just buying this one time. You're just going to be purchasing the inserts as often as you need them, but including the recipes in it. And every time I get new recipes, they would be included in the next inserts.
So
like a happy planner, like where you just buy the different pages that you want, like
right.
These last time. It's going to be
right, just like that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of having recipes. So was it 2 weeks ago, Michelle? 3 weeks ago in this PR class I'm talking about, there was this article we were reading, and it was all about recipes and how they are one of the most successful things to share and, use to promote in any kind of campaign. And then even if it's not food-based, the recipe for success, the recipe for how to run a ministry meeting, like just even using the word recipe has this like trigger in us psychologically. So I think having recipes is a great idea. And then I would also create some downloads on your website too for people who don't purchase the actual book, and do them in different sizes. Like I would love to have stuff like that, but I would want it in the big size. So you could make a version that would fit in like all the different kinds of planners that people are already using, so that you're not only just doing the base that's going to love the size that you have, but then you'll reach this whole broader thing too. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I thought about, because you sent it to me to look at like in July, I think, and I hadn't gotten back to you, and I'm sorry about that. It's been a little busy. But I thought about doing also profiling writers that you admire, that if that could be like some of your PDF, like those free downloads, maybe you could do like profiles on some of the writers that are of some of the books that you love, and then talk about like kind of like the story behind the story, why that person got into writing. I always find those kinds of things fascinating, like how this person was actually a nurse and became a writer. Like I think like even Marie Everson's story is interesting to me. Like those, I love to know those kinds of things. Not everybody knows those things. Maybe the most famous writers they do, but not those that are like what the society would consider like not the A-list but the B-list. Some of them are my favorite authors, but the story behind the story might be neat. Those kind of neat downloads to get people to buy your book anyway, because that would be something I'd want to have in there when I'm talking about those books and having those recipes. I'd want to have her story in there. Like, okay, she writes these books. I love her story. That's me. And then I also thought this might be something that you could sell to like a place like Fox Chapel. Like that might be a market for this. They do a lot of do-it-yourselfers. They do a lot of they do knitting books, Jan. They do those kinds of things. But that seems like that might be a book they would do. So I mean that's just one market I could think of off the top of my head. But they do some really cool kind of companion type books like that. And then to be able to have this, this could be at the front in Barnes and Noble, or some of the stores are still around. This could be one of those like point of purchase things. That's the kind of thing that book lovers would get. And I would have, because most people drink coffee who are book lovers. I am not in that group. I'm a Pop girl, but most people love coffee. You could do some kind of like coffee things, like maybe, I don't know, coffee recipes, or like something for fall. Like, okay, it's time for your pumpkin spice. Here's how you jazz up your own coffee at home without spending $12 at Starbucks or something. You could do all kinds of fun things, all the things that people love about books and surrounding books, and coffee is one of them.
I love that. Sure. I was thinking too for Winston, you could even dive into like seeing eye dogs, because that would tie in the dog plus the Braille side of it, and how some dogs have a purpose, like their job is to help people who need to be able to, who can't see maybe all the way or not. And like those groups are like, they are tight. Like you get in with one, you might be able to get in with a lot of them, and they might be champions of your book as well. And that would lead you into service dogs. Then you could go into like the military dogs. I mean, like your dog lane opens up with just a few like doors of entry that open up, because then you're championing. And that also would give you more things for time travel, like places to go back to the people who started like different things in different eras. But I will tell you, the thing that I love the most about Winston was his collar that gets a stamp like a passport. In your proposal, I would absolutely have a product, and I would even make one to download too, where kids can color in the stamp that he gets on his collar as they read the books in the series. So if they've got a master sheet maybe one per book just for the book, but then a master. So like, it's like a collection. Like how many of these do I get to color in? Because I've read them all. Like my kids right now at school, they're doing the Who Was or Who Is series, and it's all nonfiction for kids. And my 5th grader and my 3rd grader are like always have a book in their hand because they get to do bingo lunch today. And like that's the reward if they read so many of them. This is exactly that same kind of thing, and it gets kids excited, and that would kind of be something they could just keep in their binder maybe, or teachers. Like I would do the Great American Teach-In in November. Find your local schools, and you could do.
And I Love to Write Day is also in November. I love.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah,
like,
that could be.
Do 3 or 4, like because you can schedule with the teacher for different times in the day, and you could probably hit 2 or 3 different schools, or do multiple classrooms into one. And that does a lot of school visits. Michelle does a lot, and then she gets emails if you send stuff. Why don't you tell about that? How you send stuff ahead of time to the teacher so you get the emails? That's brilliant.
Thank you. One of the things I've done over the years, and I adapted this because I kept going to the schools to speak, and they do pay you to come, like, and they pay your travel and all that. And then I would get there and I'd have my books to sell, and then kids would never bring their money. And, I'd get somebody say, "Oh, I forgot my money, but I really want this book. Can I bring my money tomorrow?" But I would never be there tomorrow. I was just like flying in from out of state. So it always made me sad. And I always had bookmarks so that everybody could take something home, or something, a color sheet or something, if they couldn't afford to buy a book. So I didn't want anybody to go away without something. They always want you to sign something, their arm or whatever. So I always want to sign the bookmarks. But I would send ahead, I would ask permission from the librarian or whoever asked me, the student council president, or could be the principal. And I would send a list of my books with, you can do this in Canva or whatever, but I have all my covers and the price and the age group that they're for. And then I would say, and if you want to buy this for a gift for somebody, I'd be happy to sign it. Here, who would you like me to sign it to? Because the kid's not going to remember, but the parent sends the money in the form with sign this to Dory, then I'm going to sign it to Dory, or sign this to Joe, then I'll sign it to Joe. So that made my sales really skyrocket. So they have that about a week ahead of time, and they send it out a couple of times before I get there. Then when I get there, they just give me all these order forms, and I will stay after I do my presentation and sign all the books. So it ends up being a really profitable thing, not just because I get to make a connection with all the kids and sell my book, but I get a whole lot of new fans, because not just the book I'm there talking about. I might be there talking about Career Day or one of those, but if I'm there to actually speak about a specific book, because here's what you can do, because these are going to be topical and they're going to be in history and that kind of thing. You can actually capitalize on like months and holidays that have to do with that. So like this month is National Deaf Awareness. I don't know if y'all knew that, but it is. It came up, how I knew it? It came up on my Google when I was doing a search. I'm like, oh, but they have calendars that you can see what the holidays are. So for the month that is about National Blindness Awareness or whatever, I'm sure there is one of those, or a week or a day, or all of those. That would be where you say, hey, if you don't have anything planned for this month, or for a special speaker, I'd love to come in and talk about my book about Winston the Bulldog, and then tell about who he goes to meet, and the whole thing about Braille and all of that. You can just say I would be like this wealth of information. Teachers will love it. They can like have a break and grade some papers or something while you go and speak and educate their kids about something that they're probably talking about anyway, if it's a whole month dedicated to that. So that would be something I would do. And because you're only be talking about that book, that's why I send the form ahead of time, so that they can order my other books too that I might not be speaking
about. Let me just say
I think Annette recommended. I think it was Annette that recommended, so I bought it. Sell books and get paid doing author school visits. I like it. It's by Kim Norman.
I'll get that.
This is helpful if you're going to start doing school visits for all you children's writers.
But let me just say one more thing, that my ideas for marketing, we're definitely downloading the Passport. And I see in the future stuffed dogs, toys, a dog food, coloring books, watches, Halloween costumes, and most importantly, create a dog collar.
Yeah. And since the kids are going to be doing it, I would want to maybe bracelets. Yeah, that would match the dog collar. That would be cool.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay. I know we've taken some extra time, but I appreciate it.
Yay.
I think it's great. That was
and the last thing, the Book Lovers Companion thing, do one for kids and one for adults. You need to have 2 different versions. Great
idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Amanda. So we're at the top of the hour. So what we can do is we usually do like 15 minutes into the after party anyway. Joe, feel free to stay on or close out every day, whatever you want. But I'm excited just to finish that up. I'm excited about Winston and like all the things that you're going to do with this. I think it's really great. And you're a book lover's companion. I think you've got 2 great ideas.
Thank you. I appreciate all the input, believe me.
Okay, good. All right, so in the chat, I'm going to ask all of you who are watching, Amanda's here, and she's our 3rd person for this, so I was thinking, why not do her 15 minutes and we'll just keep recording, so it'll be a little bit of an extra one instead of doing like off the record after party, like why not? So for anyone who has to like get out, it's 12, we love you, and let's just jump right in, I guess, to Amanda.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late. I apologize.
That's okay. Okay, so what we've been doing is we give you a chance to share the book that we want to talk about, just so, because we've already seen like your questionnaire, so that way everyone kind of gets a chance to know like the topic. And like, I know you had a couple things, but Yoga Baby, like I told you, I'm very excited about Yoga Baby. So definitely let's share about Yoga Baby first, at least. And you've got the Maker book that's coming out too that you have to market as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so go for that.
Yeah. So Yoga Baby is a board book. It'll come out next May. It's already on Amazon for pre-orders, and it's a board book for moms and babies. And it just kind of follows, it's a rhyming book, and it follows the sequence of a mom and a baby waking up and then doing yoga and then going to sleep. So it's like a full day of their life from morning until night, and it's just a rhyming yoga sequence book. It's with Beaming Books. And I love yoga, but I don't talk a lot about yoga on like social media and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out how to market and kind of get in with, I do yoga at home. And so I'm not really in like yoga groups, if that makes sense. So, and I don't foresee myself being the like expert on yoga. So I don't know that I'll even have any other yoga books. I like to write about a whole bunch of different things. So I think that's where I'm having trouble marketing specifically for yoga. Even though I love it, I don't know how to throw all of my, I don't feel like that's my whole audience, is just moms and yoga instructors.
Now, I'll jump in on this. I think you definitely want to play that up, just because that's going to sell this book like hotcakes by having yoga, reaching out to people who do yoga. Susan Neal will be a good resource for you on this, because she actually teaches Christian yoga, and she has kind of built a brand about fitness and things. She might have some great contacts for you. There's a guy that I can put you in touch with named Brad Bloom. He runs this Faith and Fitness magazine. When my book, Love and Care for the One Only You, came out, which has healthy recipes, and it's a fitness devotional, 52-week for women, he profiled me and gave me a great spread in there. He'd probably do the same thing for you, and you could just do an article for them, something like ways to get your kids involved in fitness. Not necessarily to be yoga, but just like 5 ways to get your couch potato kids off the couch and out moving around, because they say 1 in 4 kids are obese today. I mean, and actually in the obese category, because there's a lot of gaming going on, and a lot of fast food and that kind of stuff, a lot of sodas. Certainly not against that, but it's good to the kids to get some movement involved. So you could do not a preachy article, but it's about, every mom is pressed for time. That's just part of it. So it's not like we have 9 million hours a day to go and fix this really healthy thing. So you could do a whole article about maybe some quick healthy snacks. A lot of people are doing transits from school to soccer to all these different kinds of events. You could start ministering to the whole family. In your trains, or other than driving through McDonald's, here are 5 things you can pack that are healthy snacks that your kids will love. Simply cutting fruits and things into fun shapes make kids like them. I mean, my grandkids now like Bear. He likes the dinosaur nuggets just because he likes dinosaurs. He don't like nuggets, and it's ridiculous. He likes the dinosaur ones. I'm like, okay, all right, those kinds of things, just those sort of fun little tips. So not necessarily you have to just focus on the yoga, though I would, and I'd start following all the yoga people on Instagram and that kind of thing. And then breaking in with the mommy bloggers. We always say rule the world. Start commenting on some of the top mommy blogger sites and let them know about your book. Your publisher, Beaming Books, will probably do this with you. I know that Worthy Kids worked with me on this, and so did Tommy Nelson. We actually they would earmark like 100 books or something for giveaways for the mommy bloggers. So, offer them a book for them to give away. They love you. And usually you have to give one to them and then one to for them to give away. So you can maybe target 50 of the top ones. Just send a nice little pitch letter about yourself and about your book that's coming out, and then be really helpful, and then say, we can provide these giveaways. I would love to be a part. And that usually they say yes, because they're looking for that kind of thing. There's even usually on most of the big top mommy bloggers, there's a form you fill out. They know people are going to approach them. So
right. And I think that's kind of where I have felt like a little bit stuck. I'm like, I don't know what to do on my own and what to wait for Beaming Books, because I know that I've been told like their marketing department's going to be contacting me. And so then I'm like, how much do I do on my own? How much do I wait for them to do? Because I don't want to get to the end and be like, I haven't done anything,
No, that's a great question.
Just start doing everything.
Okay.
Tommy Nelson was real proactive, and they actually had a marketing person and a PR person, 2 different departments, working with me for the Dinosaur Devotions. And I've never had I always have done all my own stuff, because that's what you have to do. Growing up in the industry, that's what we had to do, unless you were like a celebrity or something, and I'm not. So I've always done my own stuff. Well, then Tommy Nelson, we get on a call, and Kyle got tickled because, he's my agent too. And I'd be like, and I can do this. They're like, yeah, we don't want you to do that. I'm like, okay, I can do this, and I could contact this man. They're like, yeah, we don't want you to do that. We're handling that. Like, at the end of the day, we hear the phone, and Kyle calls, all I hear is laughing. He's like, yeah, you don't have to do anything. I'm like, they shot me down everything I suggested because they already had it covered. So it depends, I think, on the publisher, but this is what I would do. I would just contact your editor there and just say, hey, I'm getting excited. I know pre-orders are starting now. These are some things I was thinking about doing proactively to help get pre-sales up and to get some buzz about my book before it comes out. They're going to love you for that. And then I don't want to step on any toes, and I can't wait to have our marketing person contact me, but is this a good thing for me to start doing these things? And if not, what can I be doing? Just to let them know you don't want to step on toes, but you are so ready to do some stuff. And then I would just list about 10 things, or 5 at least, of the things that you can bring to the table, because they already have a huge list of mommy bloggers that they're going to reach out to. And if you could provide like 5 blogs that they could start shopping, that'll be helpful.
Okay.
One thing we found too is that we've made like a huge list of things that we were going to do, and a lot of it is stuff that they couldn't do for us. Like, we need to write the articles, we need to reach out and make relationships and post on our Instagram and things like that. But when we had our one marketing meeting, what we said, listen, they didn't want to like duplicate work or spend money. Like, we wanted to spend the money budgeted wisely. And so because we were like being proactive with what we were going to do, it gave them a chance to think about like, okay, well, we can put more money maybe into PR, like hire someone really, we got an amazing PR guy for this book, like incredible. So like that was money so well spent, because we can handle so much of the other stuff on our own. And so like that makes for I think we've got a nice working relationship with them right now, because we're willing to do that. So I would start doing all that, so that way they can put money towards things that we wouldn't be able to afford.
That's exactly right. And what you'll find out, Amanda, is most authors don't do that stuff. We're a small number of people who are like bringing stuff to the table. Most are like, you bought my book, so sell them. Like they might do a Facebook post here and there, but they're not really proactive. So with you bringing stuff to the table, they're going to love you anyway. And that's how you get subsequent book contracts, by being that author who's willing to go to the schools and willing to do all these things. I would hook up with the fitness facilities in your community. I would start there, and then I would go broader. There are like, I live in a small town, Bedford, right? There's like 7 different gyms here. I've taught at like 3 of them. Most parks departments have a fitness. They usually have like mommy and me classes at like the MCAs. That would be a great place to have a book signing when it comes out, to talk about, you could sell all of them, see if you can come in and do that, maybe even at the Y. That's some things you could do.
Okay, the Beachbody community has like a big voice, and they do PYO, Pilates yoga. So if you get some of them who are like have babies, like, and they're doing, yoga baby with their baby, that ties in for them helping to like promote Beachbody in another way too. So it's like a cross promotion for them almost. That would be another like avenue of people to get in front of.
Yeah, and I actually do know several. I do Beachbody myself, so I know several people that are coaches that do Beachbody, So I think I just have to I think I get overwhelmed, and I think like, there's so many things, and I want to do all those things. Like I want to contact all the people, and I just don't want to do it wrong, or I guess prematurely also. Because I'm like, the book doesn't come out until May, so I'm like, what should I be doing now versus what should I be doing in January versus March,
Well, the good thing is because you've got a big lead time, a lot of the magazines that will be printing in May, you'd have to like contact now anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You actually could, and maybe in a Mother's Day issue for most magazines would be a great time to have a Mommy and Me kind of article about ways to work out with your baby. I just did a quick search on YouTube. There's Mom and Baby Yoga with Alyssa Jean Klazak, Move Your Body. I mean, I would contact all these YouTube people who already have mama baby yoga things and see if they would promote your book on there. They've already got the following. So it's great to have that kind of lead time.
Okay.
Amanda, for marketing, I think you need to go bigger on Instagram. You how many times you're posting. I think you need to increase on a slow scale, but fast. I think you need to start posting 2 times a day. I think you need to go to 3, and I think your goal needs to be 4. I think you need to go 80% in on Insta. And I think the person who's your mentor on Instagram, like we do mentor texts, like with books, is Alexa Jean Brown. And that's her name there. She also has Alexa Jean Fitness. So she has 2 accounts. She's got 1.7 million on Alexa Jean Fitness. And then her personal one is Alexa Jean Brown. She just had a baby. And now, so I've been following her for a few years. And now in her bio, she's got creator of atthedailyjournal.co, which is prayer journals. So she's kind of doing she has multiple things that she's doing. So she's also tied into fitness, which you want that brand as part of like the yoga baby being like the moms and stuff. But I would just go through and study her content format and see how she's like incorporating all these different aspects and now even the faith stuff. So that wasn't the thing she started in, but now she's built to that place. And she also does I see her on the presets filters because she does so many photos. So like she's got some kind of collab now where she's selling these presets for that too. So like she's really just opened up into this big thing. And she used to sell for $10 you could get these workout books for like 3 months worth of like 10-minute workouts that you could do. Like I bought one, I did it for 2 days. But she would sell out. I mean, she was selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things and making an income from that because she built the base. So I would look her, and then I made up a content 6 for you. I came up with 5 based on what you said in your questionnaire. So you have to keep these, but I was thinking for Instagram, especially if you're trying to like figure out what's my brand, where do I focus on the most? I think your 1 content is wellness, health, and yoga. You can all be under 1 category. And then 2, I would do parenting because you got mom of boys, like all the mommy stuff. Would be that one. Then 3, minimalism. So that could be like in your house, in your life, in your prayer life, in your marriage, like anything that you want to do that focuses on like a minimalistic thing. And that's a big trend right now too, like tiny houses or Marie Kondo and decluttering. I mean, all those things would fall underneath that category. And then 4, faith would be 1. So anything that has to do with faith. And then the 5th one was like writing/books. So you could talk about, books on any of those topics that you recommend. You could share your writing journey. You're writing a children's book, so like you put that in there. And then 6, it could be whatever you wanted it to be, like a bonus thing. But like if you're trying to come up with 6 content categories, I thought from what you had said in your thing, those would be at least 5 that would maybe narrow, because you can also you can weave them in. I mean, you can have the Yoga Baby book, which talks about the writing, but also is health and fitness. It also hits the mom category. And then you can talk about how to do it in a minimalistic way. Just get a yoga mat and a block. That's all you need. And so that's a tip. Right? Like that's 4 or 5 of the categories right there.
And you don't have to be an expert, because I laughed. I've got this cookbook coming out next year because anybody knows me knows that that is not one of my giftings. You have to not marry me for my cooking, but I can bake kind of okay. So I just own that. So you can own that in the thing and be like, hey, I do yoga. I'm no expert, but kind of own that and make it kind of a fun thing. And that can be an actual blog post. You don't have to be a yoga expert to do yoga with your baby. Right. And I'm looking up here, Yoga Journal did an article as far back as 2007. This has been going on. There's a huge bunch of, it's like a whole following. It was called Yoga for the Two of You. Mommy and baby yoga is gaining popularity. That was in 2007. It's huge now. What expect from mom and baby yoga classes. That's very well fit. Tons of things are dedicated to that. So you can talk about that. And if you want to have a resource, you want to do an article where you actually interview somebody who can talk about why it's important for babies. This is something that just happened with my granddaughter, Bo Riley, in Kentucky. She, she's a second child. So Bear is the one who has the tumor on his brainstem. And so he's been a lot of focus. And so she didn't do enough tummy time. And so she actually got, I forget what they called it, but basically it's from sitting in a car seat or sitting in not sitting on their belly enough, sitting in a seat too much before she could sit up. And I forget what they call it, but it's actual thing for parents who are in the car a lot, kids in the car seat or kids in their bumbo seat before they can actually that they're laying back. And they're, I forget what they call this, but it's something that's very common now with babies. This would be a great way to talk about that. You can actually interview some medical people. You can interview people who are into movement, like First Steps or Head Start people who they actually go into homes and work with people who have children who maybe have this. I wish I could think of the name of it, but I have no idea.
Cradle cap.
Is that what it is? Okay. So those are the kinds of things that you can even bring it in and get an expert, a medical expert, or somebody who is an expert in movement with children, and get that from profnet.com or helpareporterout.com and write an article for a fitness magazine or just a mommy magazine, either both in the Christian realm as well as in the fitness realm. Those kinds of articles will play well at all those things. I mean, Allie had a baby 4 months ago. Abby had one 9 months ago. And so they take all those magazines and they're always reading things. They're always looking for top products. Those mommy groups on Facebook, I'd be infiltrating those for sure.
Yeah.
I get in there and because they will love this. Now listen, you're going to get, just like not everybody likes dinosaurs, not everybody likes yoga, some people are going to say it's new age. And you can also controversy is not a bad thing. Sometimes it gets you a lot more press. So I wouldn't worry about that because not everybody's going to embrace you and cheer you on, but that's okay. Even if they don't, it's still press, and not any kind of press gets the book out there. So whenever I see something negative about something like that, then I buy the book because I'm like, you know what, that's wrong, and they shouldn't have attacked this person. I'm just going to support them and buy the book. That's what I do. So I'm not even sure that's a bad thing. But knowing that that's out there, I would just use that and be like, I'm not going to try to brainwash your child into new ageism. But I do think that it's great to have movement with your baby, and here are some things you can do, 5 things you can do. And the 5th thing you can do is buy my book, and it'll have your little bio and where to click to get the book. I mean, Baby Books will love you for that kind of stuff.
I agree. I think your opt-in offer is to confront that head on and have 12 verses to meditate on when you're doing your spiritual yoga or Christian yoga or your yoga meditation, because it's all about that quiet time, and have those as downloads maybe every so often. I know I got the notice from Melissa that we need to go to the after party. So it's 12:15. So we'll break off the recording here, and then we'll let everybody come on, and we'll be off the record for that, which is great. So Amanda, Joe, Dory, so excited about the things that you've got going on. I think we gave you a lot of homework, but I'm super excited to know in a few minutes how it goes. So if Melissa, do you want to close the recording down, say bye to everybody, and then everyone come on in, and we'll have maybe a 5-minute after party.